Syndicated presents Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian.
You can't say things like that right before, like literally the timing was perfect. Like right before, good evening, Tom. Right before we're going live, Shep just goes, "Hey, did you see we got a mention in the Free Press, by the way?" What? Where's good evening, by the way. He's Shep, I'm Sean. No, really? Really? That was that.
Well, just our podcast. I'm saying Carlos Monterez did a nice job of at least pumping the podcast.
Oh, that was really nice. Well, I thank him for that. Can we continue the conversation that we just had? Do you mind? And maybe I won't have the salty language that got me yelled at.
Well, only if you do have the salty language.
Well,
that's what makes the conversation ring a little bit, don't you think?
All right. So, Shep, very quickly before I want to get to the outdoor game and the Wings weekend and lots of things with basketball.
Me being an old guy, me being get off my lawn guy. Go ahead.
Yeah. We can do that. So, Shep, why are people so lazy today? Oh. We were just having this conversation, and I know this isn't just because he's Matt Shepard and I'm me and guys, we're in the business and everything. I think a lot of sports fans can relate to this. Google is your friend. Like that is something I say all the time. Google is your friend. Yeah. And I can't tell you how many times a day, forget about a week, forget about a month, how many times a day somebody takes the time to craft out this, what's going on, how you doing, ask their question, expecting me to know the answer when it would take them infinitely less time to look up, for example, 1990 Stanley Cup champion was, it was the Edmonton Oilers. Shep, what? I can't figure it out. Can you help me out here?
Sure, I'll help you out. If it has to do with hockey or a specific year, I don't blame people for texting you. Well, I mean, you've got a really good memory, and you know years like that. Okay, I don't possess that. I don't possess that capability. Now, if they're asking you specifics about when a guy scored a goal on himself, when was the Michigan lacrosse goal? Can you give me the people who've done it? Whatever. Okay, if you want, I'm with you. DuckDuckGo, Google, it's all your friend. Okay, go ahead and use it. But I think we have a tendency to draw that ourselves because we like to think we're pretty well read. My wife has a cousin out east. I get random texts from him constantly. Did Jack Hughes go to Michigan? I don't know, Steven. Look it up, buddy. I mean, Quinn Hughes did. I mean, it's not that hard.
Right.
And you're right. Here's the problem. How quickly do you respond to the person who is texting you? They're in line because you could be at fault. I'm at fault. I'll blame myself because I text right away. Yes, he did. No, he didn't. Whatever. Okay. For you to wait a long time, that might be your best defense right there, Sean. I'm just giving you some advice. So, how are you doing?
I just listen. I'm telling you, Shep. I'm a firm believer in Google is your friend. Like a lot of times, no, really, you may not think that Google is your friend, but Google is your friend. Like I bet you right now, you didn't know you had a friend in Google. You could type anything right now, and the chances are Google would give you a pretty good answer.
Or just say it. Say it to Siri.
I don't, Shep. For the life of me, I don't get it. And if it's something stupid, okay, I guess I'm a cheap party gag, and in a certain regard you're a cheap party gag as well. But Shep, I just don't. And you brought up another one, okay? Like I go to the Planet Fitness in Northville. Why the all right, you know what? I'm going to say it. I'm already in the doghouse. I may as well just. Why the fuck do we even have a sign that says, "Hey, listen, if you're going to chat on your fucking cell phone, go over in the corner"? Why do we do it? Why? Why is it there?
Well, here's the issue, though.
You're going to complain about the guy on the cell phone, Shep. You are the bad guy.
I'm the bad guy. That happened the other day. I'm on the treadmill, and listen, I play heavy metal music when I'm running or working out, and I crank it up as loud as I can. I've got to get my Iron Maiden. I've got to get my AC/DC. You know that, right? If I can hear the woman behind me talking to her friend about what she just bought at Prada over the weekend, I think that's a little bit of an invasion. I don't need to hear your laundry list of accomplishments from the weekend or what little Sean did so well on the soccer field. I don't need to hear it. So if I turn around and say, excuse me, could you keep it down a little bit? And there's no response. If it forces me to get off and say, excuse me, I can hear your conversation, or the guy walking around the entire gym floor. Hey, man, what's going on? You want to go to the game? It's 3 steps right up to the lobby area. It's not going to take you long. Just go up there and take care of your business, and everything's fine. But if I say, then people will just go, see that guy? He's the jerk who is always getting on people's ass because what are they doing? Because I had a quick conversation. No, you really didn't. You had a long conversation and a loud conversation to boot.
The thing that I can't figure out, Shep, is like when they're mad at you. Like there's a giant sign that says, get off your phone.
Yeah.
Like go
or it's right in front of you. It's right in front of you.
Like and you're kind of like looking around. It's like bizarro world. Like, am I really see that sign? Go use your fucking phone over there. Right? So
Sean, just common courtesy. Can we just have common courtesy in the world?
To that.
You know, and look, Michigan drivers, we're going to swerve in and out. I get it. But just because you turn your blinker on doesn't mean that you deserve to get over if I'm close to the other car. If there's not enough room, you don't deserve to come over into the lane just yet. Here's another one. I'm at the gym the other day. This guy comes out of the full door stall, so you can imagine the duty that was taking place in there. Walks right to the sink. Pants are still down. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Proceeds to use the water, proceeds to use the sink as if it were an Italian commode. And I looked at this young kid next to me and I said, what the hell is going on in our world? What's going on here? So I said, hey, dude, what do you just came out. Go back in. What are we doing here? That's the way it is, man.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. It's their world. You're just living in it, Sean.
Oh, I love by the way, Shep, I love when Todd goes to AI. There's nothing good that comes out of this, at least in regards to me. It's usually a shot at me. So I'm going to look down at this right now and see what Todd AI has planned. What do you got?
If I saw that in the gym, as in the person on the left, I probably wouldn't get a lot of workout done. I like it, though. I like it a lot.
I said, get off your cell phone at the gym, but while you're at it, get off my lawn. You know, that's I think
so I had that moment over the weekend, Sean. I had the moment of get off my lawn, and here's where it happened. I'm watching the Stadium Series. I'm watching the Wings and Blue Jackets. And after the first period, as you know, 21 Pilots comes on and does a concert.
Mm-hmm.
So I tweeted, if I wanted to watch a concert during a sporting event, I'd watch the Super Bowl. I just want to watch hockey, right? So some pushback on that, of course, that I'm old guy. And then what else do you get? What's the oldest bid in sports? Let's bring up a couple of them. Ready? I don't know if you know this, but Matt Stafford and Clayton Kershaw were baseball friends when they were kids.
I heard that. They grew up together or something. Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that Tom Izzo and Steve Mariucci are best friends. I'm not sure if you know that, but wow. I'm just trying to inform you. Kirk Herbstreit brings his dog to the game. Did you know that?
Yeah. No. Really?
Yeah, Kirk Herbstreit brings his dogs to the game. You know, I mean, and every time ESPN's got to show it, and they got to do an interview with him. So what do you get at a hockey game? Kirk Herbstreit, big hockey fan. Don't ask him about the hockey game.
Nah.
Oh, his dog is there. That's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, now you're going to tell me something crazy like Jerome Bettis is from Detroit. You're going to go and tell me something. Remember that
You
whole
sure
bit?
about that? You better look that up. Google's your friend. You could just look it up.
You can look that up. Tom
Yeah.
said, good evening, guys. Dave said, Sean, ESPN did the worst broadcast on that stadium game. Unreal. 8 cam views, terrible interviews in game, messing up the hockey, terrible. I'm going to ask you guys something in a second. I want to get to some of your comments because you guys have come. But, Shep, I want to ask you a question about the outdoor game for a second. Eric said, what's up? Tom, Sean is the hockey guy that's very kind. Eric said, did you watch the Elimination Chamber Saturday, WWF? No. Michigan basketball got to run the table. I didn't see any action over the weekend. Did Michigan and Michigan State play, Eric? Yep, a bunch of weirdos out there nowadays. Jim said, will there be any blockbusters made at the trade deadline, or is it pretty well done? We don't see them anymore. We don't see blockbusters. It was a national holiday for trade deadline in Canada Day, July 1. It was a national holiday. Teams lock up the studs now. You don't see the blockbusters anymore. All right, you watch the outdoor game. And I'm serious. I got to ask this question. I think I know the answer for you, and you might be surprised at my answer. Has the outdoor game lost its luster?
No.
Has the shine gone off the luster?
I don't think so. I think it's great for the sport. When you get 90,000 people there, I don't care if they're all hockey fans or not, just to have that type of aura, I think is special. It's it's a sport that can lend itself to that. I'm not saying it would be a great place to watch a game. It's nothing like watching it in person at a hockey arena.
You got it.
I've called 4 outdoor games. I called the first ever Michigan State. I called the rematch in Ann Arbor. I called Michigan and Ohio State in Cleveland. And I called the Toronto Marlies and the Grand Rapids Griffins at Comerica Park. I loved every single one of them. They're well attended. There's something in the air about it, and I think hockey needs to take advantage of it. I'm glad they still do it. Now, is it too much to do the Winter Classic and the Stadium Series? I mean, you could have that debate. What I like about the Stadium Series is, they're rotating it at different college football venues, which I think is pretty awesome. Yeah, and I'd love to see it come back to MSU where it started. Mark Hollis was the genius behind it.
There was.
And it was fantastic. It was freezing, but it was fantastic.
Shep, let me explain it to you this way. And I like you, I've been very fortunate to call a few of them outside. I'm telling you right now, you wouldn't catch me dead as a fan. I'm telling you right now, you could offer me, you could say, I have 2 tickets right in the corner that plays right to your snobbiness, about 20 rows up, so you can watch the game develop and sit there with your little sheet like you're a stupid scout and everything. Plays right up to your snobbiness. Yep. Absolutely free. Shep, I want nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. But I'll tell you this. I don't think the shine and the luster will ever go away from it. And I'll tell you why. Chances are that if you play this game, I would say 80% of the guys out there, and I don't think this is an exaggeration, 80% of the guys have incredible memories of either learning to skate or at a very young age. Yep. Playing on the pond, playing in their backyard. For me, it was the canal at my grandfather's cottage in Stony Point, Ontario. And they had, where the boats are, they had boards. I thought it was the coolest thing on earth. Honest to goodness, I thought that was the coolest thing on earth to skate there. That will never go away. Now, would I go do something like that? Absolutely. I mean, I'd take one hit and I might die. That might be the end of my life and all that stuff. But I would never grow tired of that. But Shep, honest to goodness, I couldn't think of anything that I would want to do less. I might even put up with.
Remember this. First of all, it's not for us. No. Second of all, you're also said, you have no desire to go to Lions games because you'd rather watch it at home. So you've reached that point in your career, but you have broadcast them outside, like you said. Earlier in your career, perhaps with Jack, you would have gone to one. You're just not at that stage in your life right now because you've already done it too. I wouldn't have any desire to do it because I've been to them. I've done that. And for me, it's not worth it. But when it's a trickle down effect with high school, I think more high school teams in the state of Michigan should be doing that. And I think it would be a brilliant move. Now, my son played in one in downtown Detroit, which was pretty cool when he was in high school.
Clark Park.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. I wish they would do more of it. I wish that more schools in general would do it. I think there's a fantasy about it, like you said, and it takes them back to when they were kids. And let's face it, you and I both know sports is about marketing. You can market the hell out of it. Those Red Wing helmets, it created a bit of a buzz. You're trying to create momentum and you're trying to create a discussion. If that's what it takes to get you a discussion, and you've got 90,000 people watching in attendance, I think it's worth it. Yeah.
Well, and listen, Shep, like I said, it's not for me. I hope that people still want to do it because I know the guys enjoy it. The smiles on their faces most of the time, you can't fake that. You can't.
Yeah, with the eye black, looking back in football. And you know what, Sean? The other thing was I thought the two teams handled it beautifully. Like Columbus does the walk into the stadium. I talked about this morning on my show. I do a hero and heel every Monday at 8:18. The hero for me was the Wings and the Blue Jackets. Mm-hmm. For them to be led by Johnny Gaudreau's mom, Jane, and his wife and their two kids, and for them to do the walk that Ohio State does and route to their football game, they do that same thing. It was awesome. And then for the Red Wings, I got goosebumps watching them. For the Red Wings to wear Johnny Gaudreau and Matthew Gaudreau's jerseys from where they have played, Omaha Lancers, Team USA, whatever, okay? That to me was really special. It was what a way to pay tribute to two young men who lost their lives way too early. And that should have been, I know it got mentioned, okay, and the Johnny Gaudreau ice skate guards. I wish there had been more about that during the production. Right. I can be a bit of a production snob. You and I both do TV and radio, and TV, I look at things. You and I both watch games completely different than when we used to. Okay. So there's a little bit of the production aspect. I wish they would have been able to seize a little bit more of that and the heartfelt community of what hockey truly is all about. Hockey with a Heart is a beautiful organization. I wish there was a little bit more of that and a little bit less of the glitz that television, that made for TV type of experience.
I will never forget. Was it the game in Buffalo? I think it was the Sabres and the Penguins, maybe 2011. I don't remember. All the years run together now. And do you remember it started snowing there, Shep? Yeah. And I just remember here is Sidney Crosby. At the time, the unquestioned best player in the league, okay? Mm-hmm. Smiling like a 5-year-old. Yeah. Like I'll never forget that. He just had this big crap-eating grin that screamed, man, isn't this awesome? And you can't replicate that. You can't at all. Let me do some reads, and then we got a lot of comments about this. Did you know that thousands of Metro Detroiters have already called Legacy to get help with their home and their auto insurance? Our friends at Legacy Partners are one of Southeast Michigan's top independent insurance agents, and they provide a full-service, one-stop solution for all of your insurance needs, personal and business, large and small. Now, Legacy has helped listeners and my family by fixing mistakes other agents have made, asking the right question to get the right coverage put in place to properly protect you, and help save you money. What a novel idea. Chances are, if you haven't checked your policies in the last year, you're paying too much and you could be underinsured. What are you waiting for? Give Legacy Partners a chance to help with your home, your cars, life insurance, Medicare enrollment, your business insurance needs. Call them today. You will be glad you did. They helped us. They'll help you. 586-209-4106. That's 586-209-4106, or visit legacypartnersins.com to get started with your new quotes. Tom said, fact check you, Sean. First Winter Classic, 2008 New Year's Day. Was that the first one, that Buffalo-Pittsburgh one? Yeah, I didn't remember what year it was. See, before that, remember they had the Heritage Classic where they had the Habs and Oilers, and that was when they played that old-timers game where if the game got on, they started it like Richer just wound up with a clapper and had it postmarked for the corner of the net, and Fuhr flashed the glove, and I was like going, That is so stinking cool.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was, those competitive juices started flowing again. But was that the one? Was that back in Sid was just smiling ear to ear. I'll never forget that. It's pouring snow. Shep, it was so cool. It really was.
What other sport in a setting can bring out the boy in you? The only other sport I can think of is baseball. If you remember watching the Yankees play in Iowa.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
So when you have the whole build up from the movie and you have those guys walking through the cornfields, you could tell there was something special about playing in that event. And I think it's very similar to what hockey does with the stadium series or the outdoor classic or the winter classic.
Lots of comments. Does Rantanen get dealt again? I know Carolina's going to do everything they can to sign them. If they can't, that's a good question. Do the Habs sneak in the playoffs? Boy, they're playing well, but it's that young team thing, really. I mean, and we've seen Detroit do a little bit of that. Just when you think it starts to go, then it goes like that, then it goes like that. Austin said,
I don't think Detroit's young, though. See, I think there's a misnomer. They have some, obviously, Johansson's young, Seiderbloom is young. I get it. I guess Seider and Raymond are still relatively young. Outside of that, who's young on that team?
I think you can call them young because the integral pieces to me are young, Shep. They really are. I mean, that's a younger team, and that's, Austin said, got to think Steve has to pull the trigger this season. He's foreshadowed it with bringing Kane back and moving Husso. We have a great prospect pool. You got to think we will at least get a depth defenseman or forward and trade a pick or prospect. Also,
yeah, I don't think they're trading any of their young guys.
I don't think so either.
If they can get a defenseman, or actually with the second line center, that's probably more of a need now, don't you think, Sean? With Cop out for the rest of the year, don't you think a center is probably more needed?
I think in a perfect world, if you could add a defender, I know people don't like to hear this because he's been such a whipping boy. I think Ben Sherratt is great with your third pairing. I think if you put Ben Sherratt in a position like that, so often, Shep, with this team, and I know you and I have talked about this, you're asking guys to be something that they aren't.
Right.
Asking a guy to play as a two and he's not. Mm-hmm. I think if you put Sherratt is what he is. Like people hammer him, and I think a lot of times they've kind of asked him to be something that he's not, and I don't know if that's necessarily fair.
You think he's playing out? Obviously not out of position, but you think he's playing?
He's in a third. He's a third pairing. He's a third pairing guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I think it's fair to use the phrase he's probably playing out of position.
I think so.
The question is, what do you? It's not just getting the position; it's getting the right guy at the position, right? Mm-hmm. So, would you go get a Luke Shen, for example? As a guy who might be a decent defenseman, but wouldn't cost you a whole lot considering he's a right-handed shot. He's 35. I'm just using that as an example.
No, and I get what you're saying. If you want to do something like that, I'm fine. I'm with you. I don't want to do anything that's going to make me jump into my pool. The Red Wings are not going to be able to keep all these guys. Okay, they aren't. I mean, really, with all these young pieces that they have, they're not going to retain all of them. And Steve is going to eventually deal from a position of strength, and that's the position that you want to deal from. But like Shep, I say this all the time.
You don't want to lose him to a rental. You don't want to use one of those young guys for a rental player.
Not until you're ready. Not until you're ready. Right? I mean, like
final piece. Right.
I always use this. I loved what Florida did last year, going and getting Tarasenko. I loved it. It was fantastic. It didn't cost a lot, and you're not asking Tarasenko to come in there and be something he's not. And I remember you and I talked about this. I absolutely felt, and I turned out to be right, that the New York Rangers were Charmony soft. And basically, you brought Tarasenko in and said, use your 220-pound frame, and we're just going to lay down on the Rangers. And we don't think that the Rangers have a lot of fight. And again, key component to a cup run? No, but a piece. And you have to put that puzzle together. And it was kind of funny because people said to me, wait a second, well, you really liked him going to Florida. Why don't you like Steve Yzerman signing him? And I said, because this isn't a great fit for him.
It's also a different role. It's also a different role.
Exactly.
So that's the whole thing. Look, it's no different than the Lions situation. Lions aren't going to be able to keep all their guys either.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're going to have to decide, what do you do with Jamison Williams?
Yeah.
How much will that affect Jahmyr Gibbs? How much will that affect Jack Campbell? How much will that affect Sam Laporta? How much is it going to affect Terry and Arnold down the road? All those, Brian Branch, all those things are, they get steamrolling a little bit. That's why general managers have to look years and years in advance, right? Steve Yzerman, he's not going to give up some of his really good young talent for a guy who's 35 and has 1 year left on his contract. He's not going to do that. And he shouldn't. By the way, he shouldn't do that. You and I had these conversations about the Tigers, Alex Bregman. I said, look, I'd love him on a 3, maybe a 4-year deal. Anything past that, I wouldn't do it. I give the Tigers, I didn't like their offseason, but kudos to them for sticking to their guns, although they did offer 6 years. He turned them down. I think that's ridiculous. I would not have done that. Sometimes you have to be prudent and you have to be responsible, not just looking short term, but long term as well. And I just didn't think that would have made a lot of sense. Steve Yzerman giving up a really good young player to get a guy who's going to be here for 2 years doesn't make a lot of sense with the way his team is at right now.
Right now, absolutely. The coach, Kirk Hunter, said been to 5 Winter Classics, was like a kid in a candy store every time.
Cool.
Hey, seriously, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
you
really
know
cool.
me. I the only time I want to be outside is when I run to my smoker to get the meat off of it. That's it. And then I'll open up the back door and I'll immediately be back inside with my meat. I thought the interview with his wife. Oh boy, and it wouldn't be the first time. Google is my friend. It is indeed, Tom. Thank you. Jimmy Johnson to retire. I heard that.
Yeah. He's done that for 31 years. Has he really done that for 31 years?
Shep, I saw that number too, and maybe Jimmy wants us to forget his disaster with Miami. Maybe because he went to Miami in the late 90s, remember?
Yeah.
And he lost that game to Jacksonville. What was it, 62-7 or whatever?
I don't know.
Fact check me. You guys can fact check me. But it was his last game, and I think they lost 62-7 in the playoff. So those few years he was the head coach of Miami, he wasn't at Fox. Don't tell anybody.
Oh, okay.
Maybe he just wants people to forget that. I don't know. He just wants. Let's see. Bill said LBJ is 1 point away from 50,000 points and remains a top 5 player in the world at season 22 and now at 40 years old. At what point will longevity slander cease to work for the MJ GOAT folks? It is amazing. Shep,
but he doesn't want to be the face of the league, Sean. Just understand that.
You know how I hate having conversations like this. I hate it because what these conversations usually devolve into is somebody throwing slander one way or the other. Okay, you know what? LeBron James has been unbelievable. You can hate him all you want. I know your feelings on MJ. I don't know anybody that hates MJ as much as Shep does. And I'm serious when I say that.
No, but I respect him as much as any. He's the greatest player I've ever seen.
100%.
I'll say that. I would take Michael Jordan and I'd take Kobe Bryant before I'd take LeBron James.
For him to play at this level, at this age,
is unbelievable.
It is insane. I can't. There's no. I'm going to go crazy.
He plays a lot of games too. That's the other thing, Sean. It's not just the high production. It's the fact that he plays in a ton of games too. For me, I mean, I've seen too many things about Michael Jordan compared to LeBron James. Not that I needed convincing. It's basically, you know what it is? There's an old cliche. Oh, the eye test, right? And I always say to people, yeah, but whose eyes are you using? Because not everybody sees things the same, and not everybody has the intelligence of somebody else to see something the same. Right? I mean, certain eyes, like Chuck Daly's eyes watching a guy play basketball, I would trust a little bit more than yours, with all due respect.
A little bit.
But with me, I mean, just for me, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant over LeBron James. But it's always a good debate. Always a really good.
When I think of guys over 40, I think of Nick Lidstrom. I mean, Nick Lidstrom to doing what Nick Lidstrom did.
Yep.
Past 40. Now, no, again. When it fell for Nick, it fell. I mean, Nick would be the first guy to say it. He couldn't bounce back from an injury, and all of a sudden he wasn't the perfect human anymore. Nolan Ryan, Tom Brady, you have to throw LeBron James in that group. You have to. I mean, it's insane. I enjoy watching LeBron. I've come to, I think you use the word appreciate The fact that I watched a great player like LeBron James.
George Blanda, of course, all that stuff.
Yeah. Who can forget it? Let's see. Eric said, shout out to my dog, Alex. Yeah, absolutely. See, you know what? After a 62-7 playoff loss to Jacksonville, Johnson retired from coaching despite Wayne Huizinga's attempts to change his mind. Johnson finished his 4-year Dolphin tenure 36-28. That's from the Miami Herald. Wow. So, yeah. Like, Shep, I saw that. It's funny you say that. They said 31 years, and I said, okay, wait a second. So he left the Cowboys in 94 after they won the Super Bowl, and he went and coached Miami.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? He was in Miami for a few years.
I didn't have the years put together. I just read it. When he said 31 years on the desk, I'm sure Kurt Menefee's going, wait a minute.
Nobody mentions the number of games when Ovi is chasing Gretzky. Funny how that works, huh? Bill, I can say, wow, Ovi, I didn't think it was going to happen, especially when he turned into Fat Ovi last summer. Yeah. Some of those pictures of Fat Ovi were Todd, do you have Fat Ovi again? Can you pull up Fat Ovi?
He's what? He's 39, right? He's 38, 39.
Fat Ovi living his best life in the summer was awesome. And I was like, there is no way he's gonna bring. Wait, hold on. Look at that's magnificent. Look at that. That is magnificent. Isn't that what we all aspire to? Right there. That's what I want out of life.
That's what I am out of life.
Listen to me. I want a dip in my front pocket. I want like a beer in each hand. That man has no more bleeps to give. None.
That's an awesome move by Todd. That's why he's the best producer, right?
Hey, when it comes time to getting yourself a new house, whether you're buying or selling, oftentimes both, you need to contact the right agent. Who do we recommend? Lindsay Broadwell. Your house is probably the biggest investment you'll ever make, and that's why you need a pro. Lindsay grew up on the main streets of Northville and has expanded her team all over Southeast Michigan. She's an expert in all facets of the business. When it's time to move, our friend Lindsay and her team will make sure you get the most out of your house and everything goes smoothly when finding your new home. Buyer, seller, even first-time buyer, doesn't matter. Make sure you contact Lindsay at BroadwellHomes.com. She will help you with everything from start to close. Licensed realtor at Real Broker LLC. Start your search today at BroadwellHomes.com. Tim said, was there ever a generation in which the best player in the NBA wasn't the GOAT? That is really funny. Because you know what, Shep? It goes back to generations, doesn't it? Because you probably have people in my dad's generation, Will Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Jerry West. They made the Shield. You know what? You know nothing. All that stuff. And Shep, I told you, for me, I was one of those guys. I screamed and slammed my feet on the ground for years that Magic Johnson was the best player I saw. And then I got to a point in the early 90s, I just couldn't do it anymore. Like after watching Michael Jordan, I was just like, I can't say this anymore. I'm being what I detest if I say that Michael Jordan isn't the best.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, a lot of it depends on what matters most to you. I mean, if it's championships, it's Jordan. If it's MVPs and championships, it's Jordan. If it's how many times have you lost, a closeout game, it's Jordan. All these different things. And then you look at LeBron being, I think he's a 20-time all NBA performer, which is not first team, but all NBA in general. That's pretty impressive. So you can make a case for both of them. I think that's why it comes down to, I don't think it comes down to your age, but if it comes down to who you've seen more of, that's where probably you're going to get, a little bit of push from somebody. It's hard for us. I remember talking to our friend Mike O'Hara about this one time. He said, I don't care what people say. It was about Jordan at the time. I don't care what people say about Michael Jordan. The most dominant basketball player of all time is Will Chamberlain. And he said, and it's really not even close. And when you look at his numbers, you would say so. Now, people will argue, yeah, but he went up against guys who weren't as athletic, and he went up against guys who aren't that big, and look at how much he talked. Hey, man, Shaquille O'Neal, you could say the same thing. Okay, so there's a lot of different arguments you can use for it. It's fun to have those debates, but most of it comes down to your experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. As Tom said, Ovi's 11 behind Gretzky, 10 to tie, 11 to beat him. It's insane. I think he's going to do it this year. I really do. I thought, honestly,
you want him to do it?
I don't care. Honest to goodness, I don't.
Come on. I don't buy that for a second. You're watching. You're a hockey
I don't care.
enthusiast. Come
Good
on.
for him. If he does, good for him. It's not going to change the way I feel about him in any iota. And I will be one of those guys. I will say that the best pure goal scorer I saw is Mike Bossy. And I don't think my mind will ever change. I really, honest to goodness, I don't. There we go. I swear to God, Todd and I did not plan that out. You want to talk about goals per game? Look at that. Mike, in my mind, Mike Bossy was, and who can forget Babe Die? And I think the one thing that they're not showing there is Phantom Joe Malone. Okay. And if you saw Phantom Joe Malone,
Bobby Orr in there.
if you know what Phantom Joe Malone looks like, Todd, find a picture of Phantom Joe Malone. Looking at Phantom Joe Malone would scare the shit out of you because the dark circles under his eye were even darker and more pronounced than mine. I mean, that man would look at that. Look at him. Watch that face. Look at that. I mean, that is a specter coming at you. Spit it.
That's you on a Sunday morning in Scotland.
Isn't that one of the guys that like visited Scrooge? Spit it. Look at that.
What is that? A Belleville Tigers T-shirt on that he's got, or what?
I am here to take your goal. Spit it. Right. I'm convinced that was him. Austin said, for me, LeBron, the player, outstanding. LeBron and all the other stuff, puke. I think Kobe and MJ and the others did a better job of not being a celebrity and being a basketball player. That stuff turns off people with LBJ. Rusty Staub. Who can forget Rusty?
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one, man.
Gracious. Yeah. Who can? Le Grand Orange. Bill, at what point do we see Max Clark in the show? Does he get more minor league at bats, or is he rushed up like Torque? Shep, have you got any insight into that?
I'm sorry. What was that? Which one were you
Max
reading, Bill?
Clark. At what point does he get moved up? How many more minor league at bats do you think he does, or are we going to rush him up like Torque?
I don't think they'll rush him. He didn't play above A, so I don't think that's possible. I sure don't see it happening this year. I mean, if he happened to tear up double A, maybe he plays double A half a season and then maybe half a season in triple A. I think in talking with scouts when they drafted him, they thought he was a fast tracker, similar to Riley Green. So I could possibly see it. I think it's a very interesting scenario what they're going to do in their outfield, though.
Yeah.
Because Riley Green, they moved to left, and rightfully so. I was surprised at that because I thought, look, he's a really good center fielder, but Parker Meadows is a better center fielder. They say Max Clark is a better center fielder than Parker Meadows. What does that mean? Where does he go? Does that mean Meadows goes to right? I mean, you've got to have a really strong arm to play right field. Tigers don't have anybody really who has that strong of an arm. Bierling's got a strong arm, but not that strong. You and I know with these strong arms, you're talking about Clemente and Kaline and Evans and Parker.
Dewey Evans, baby. Dewey Evans.
Dewey Evans is unbelievable. And, when you look at Jesse Barfield, he had a really strong arm with the Toronto Blue Jays. I just don't see anybody who has that for them. But, maybe when you had that type of athleticism in the outfield, that would be something else. I don't see Max Clark coming up at all this year. I just don't see it possible.
Bill loves him some LBJ. And Bill, I hope you know I'm not saying that disrespectfully. Bill said, why Kobe over LeBron, Shep? Sean, do you take Kobe over LBJ? Let me go first, Shep. Okay. I would take LeBron James. I would take LeBron James for 46 and a half minutes over Kobe. In the last minute of the game, I want somebody who would slit your throat, bite your nose, and sucker punch your mom. And that's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, I think he was, that word assassin is overused. I think he's a better defensive player. I think he had better range. I just think I'd take Kobe Bryant over him. I just think he was.
Would you for the whole game, Shep? Would you really? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm answering you. 46 and a half minutes. Give me LeBron. I would tell LeBron to go sit down, and I would take the guy that would knot your Achilles tendon.
Yeah.
Right? You knock him down to the floor, and he would bite your Achilles tendon.
For sure. Yeah.
LeBron, you're right. I almost used the A word, and I'm not going to use it. Hey, if you're ready to take charge of your financial future, look no further than the Wealth Advantage Group, located in historic downtown Northville and owned by those guys right there. Look how handsome those guys are. You don't see any Phantom Joe Malone stuff there.
No.
No way. That's Mike Husak and Jeff Husak. They get a good sleep every night, and they have over 20 years of industry experience. They understand that your financial goals are as unique as you are, and that's why they offer personalized, expert guidance to help navigate the complexities of financial planning. Now, whether you're saving for retirement, getting ready to sell your company, already in retirement, these guys can help guide you through every step of your financial journey. They work with clients throughout all stages of life, and they have clients in over 20 different states. The investment world is a complex one. If you're ready to start taking your finances more seriously, it might be time to work with the experts. Reach out to my friends at the Wealth Advantage Group. Also, give a shout out to Aaron. Give them a call at 248-773-8574. Check out their website at www.thewealthadv.com. Habs are winning. Tom, I didn't know. I had no idea.
Let me just say this real quick. For some reason or another, I mean, maybe it's something I've got to kick the habit of, but defense is really important. Okay, so when I had this conversation this morning about MSU, somebody said, "Do you really think they can compete?" I said, "Absolutely." Because I think they're an elite defensive team. I think they're a really good rebounding team. Granted, they don't have that superstar, but they got a lot of different guys who've stepped up recently. I don't know how you deny a team that has won 5 in a row and 4 straight over top 25 teams, and they've been consistent all year long. For me, playing both ends of the floor, playing both ends of the ice, okay, I think are really important. And I just think for me, when Kobe Bryant's a 12-time all NBA defense team player, in addition to his ability to score and a ability to guard different positions, that's why I take Kobe Bryant more than anything else.
Ray, I think you know this about me. I love this guy. I think he's the most gifted hockey player I've ever seen. I'll never deviate from that. But he said if Mario was fully healthy during his career and didn't retire too early, he would have set the goal record. Mario is the poster child for what might have been, period. Whether it be his back problems, whether it be the lymphoma, whether it be his body beaten and him being clutched and grabbed so long, and then coming back and still dominating after sitting out for a few years. Shep, Mario's the poster child in sports for what might have been for me. As great as he was.
You said that for a long time. I mean, in case people don't know, I mean, you have said that since the days back at DFN for you. I think he's one of the greatest. I was talking this morning about the greatest comeback stories of all time, because there's a guy by the name of, I think his name is Tony Peake, who just won the New Zealand Open. He was in a biker gang at age 21 and got jailed for 5 years. He's come out, and now he's going to play in the Open Championship because he just won the New Zealand Open. One of the greatest comebacks is Mario Lemieux, without question. We can talk about Monica Seles being stabbed, coming back and winning majors. Ted Williams fighting in 2 wars, World War II and the Korean War, and then having 7 all-star appearances afterwards. But Mario Lemieux is in that conversation. George Foreman, for example, 10 years out of boxing, comes back, wins the heavyweight championship. Mario Lemieux is definitely in that conversation among the greatest comeback stories of all time in sports history.
I don't even remember the context in which it happened, but a couple months ago, a guy I know, we found ourselves texting each other. Mario's name came up on the FanDuel broadcast, and I forget the context, but Chris Osgood and I, we were just texting each other. Shep, I'll never forget watching a game, New Year's Eve, 1988. He scored 5 goals every way you can score a goal. It was empty netter, shorthanded, penalty shot, power play. It was just, and some of the things that guy did. And you have to remember those Penguin teams, especially the early Penguin teams before they actually won the back-to-back cups. There was nobody there.
Yeah, right.
There was nobody on those teams. Those teams sucked. They blew. And that dude put up $1.99 for goodness sake. Rob Brown has well over 100 points. You could have put me on the wing. I may have put up 80. I mean, it was insane, right?
Yeah, he was something special.
Yeah. Dave Parker in right field with a cannon. Do you remember that throw, the All-Star game? See, we're showing where he threw up.
Let me put another one in there.
Yeah.
Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's arm in right field was pretty special too. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, quickly. Gosh, we got to get out of here. We just BS for 44 minutes. Hey, let me tell you all about Catering LLC. It's a full-service caterer. Graduations, weddings, bridal showers, corporate events, anything you need catering for from 25 to 4,000 people. All About Catering can and will take care of you. With Rick and his staff, customer service, satisfaction is their number one goal. So don't sweat your next big event. Just go to allaboutcateringllc.com today to see their menus and all their 5-star reviews. Give them a call, 586-731-1398 to get your event started. Hold on. Jason said, I played it in Mario. Wow. He's the only player I was ever so star-studded to be on the ice with. I just watched him like almost forgetting I was against him. And this was after he came back from cancer. Jason, I never knew that.
That's awesome.
Do you remember?
Thanks for sharing that, Jason.
Do you remember Pat LaFontaine had like a 3,000-point lead and it was gone in like a week? Mario put up 220 in one game, then 300 the next game. And it's like, I remember LaFontaine going, wasn't I just up by 50 points? He was insane. Gosh, he was insane. What if JT Miller wouldn't have gone to the Avs? Vlad Sr. had a cannon of an arm. Eric says goodbye. Bill said, now tell us how many rings Wade and Bosch won after LeBron. How about Kyrie as well? I mean, listen.
I like Kyrie Irving, but I don't even put him close to in that conversation. I mean, we were talking about greatest players of all time. Like, I don't know who comes next. I don't know if they're in the same wave, and that's the beauty of the debate, right?
Yeah.
I don't think enough is made of, quite honestly, of Larry Bird and how great he was.
Amen.
He was a phenomenal player. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I've said this for a long time, 2 athletes who get overlooked and you can't figure out why, considering what they've done historically. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Hank Aaron. And
the skyhook was unstoppable, Shep. It was like legitimately the skyhook was unstoppable.
Yeah, but it's asinine that more when people have a conversation with somebody, just bring it up. Hey, who do you think is the best baseball player of all time? How many people say Hank Aaron? Or if you say who's the best hitter of all time, does anybody say Pete Rose? It's very strange, and maybe it's because we're older, but not only is Google your friend, there's a lot of really good websites that are your friend, like Baseball Reference. Go to Hank Aaron's page. You'll be blown away. Like, people only viewed him as a home run hitter. That's bullshit. I mean, he was the 3-time Gold Glover, okay? He had more doubles than anybody else. There's a reason he's got more total bases. It's not just because of the home runs. He's an unbelievable player, and he did not strike out. He never struck out 100 times in a season. Never.
Bill just said Barry Bonds and Shep. Sometimes, like when I'm feeling down, I go look at Barry Bonds' stats and I laugh because they're all fake. They're all fake stats. Like the walks he took, his OPS. I mean, he was. It was incredible for a few years. Now, granted, his dome was larger than most stadiums around the nation.
His speed grew at age 35, which is interesting, Sean. I didn't know that was possible. So suddenly you got to get new spikes when you're 35. But certain things make that happen, don't they?
There are 9 things you can see from planet, and his dome was one of them. Like if you're out in outer space, oh look, there's Taj Mahal. There's Barry Bonds' head.
Look, son, there's a body in the river, and there's Barry Bonds' head way up top. That's not the honeymooners. That's great.
Bill, I couldn't agree with you more. I've said it for 1,000. Baseball has to own it. One of the funniest things to me is when people act like we didn't know what was going on. Crap.
Right.
Bull crap. 100%. Tony Gwynn, unbelievable hitter. Good point there.
Hey, Tony Gwynn, I don't think he ever struck out more than 40 times in a season. George Kell, go look at his numbers. We remember him as a broadcaster. He's a Hall of Fame player. Never struck out like more than 36 times in his career. In a single season.
He was unbelievable. Some of the things that George Kell said as a broadcaster, like I wish we could have a best of George Kell because he would just, with that Arkansas draw, go get me something cold to drink. Perhaps an RC. Perhaps a tab.
For Christ's sakes, ain't somebody going to help Gibby?
It's so damn good. He was so good. All right, we got to get out of here. Right. Shep, always a pleasure. Make sure you listen to Shep every morning, 6 a.m., right? All across the state, Shep, all across the state.
You bet. Thanks, buddy.
All right, Todd, thank you. God bless you all.
Bye-bye.
Shep and Sean, featuring Matt Shepard and Sean Baligian. Executive produced by Sean Baligian and Todd Losey. Theme song, incidental music, and related sound effects are from Still Alive by Anti-Ghost. mixing and graphic design support provided by the Unsyndicated Podcast team. Don't forget to like and subscribe on all your favorite channels. While you're there, be sure to rate and review the podcast. Call the Unsyndicated hotline at 248-237-3257.